Welcome to another episode of Water Cooler Weekly. On today's show, we chat to Nourish about a number of important topics that are relevant to life as we know it right now. Dylan touches on the importance that gyms and fitness staff are playing right now and shines a positive light on the situation and things that we can all take out of it. He goes in to talk about his new project, the True Zero Videocast, and the aim behind it. Thank you for listening, and please subscribe so I can get paid, and enjoy the episode. I'm pleased to welcome on now one of Australia's hottest marketing young guns and 50% of the True Zero podcast, Nourish. Dylan, live from quarantine. Thanks for joining me.
Thanks for having me, mate. Really nice intro. I hope that you're more meaning in terms of attractive in the looks department rather than the in terms of hot off the marketing press. But I'll take the compliment regardless.
I mean, you just stepped off the balcony for me. Pipes are out. You know, you've got the nice Queensland sun on you for a couple of days as you've been in quarantine. I guess first off, let's just give me a bit of rundown on what the quarantine setup is going on right now.
Yeah, so for those who are a little bit unaware, obviously you need your border pass and you need a reason to move into state. So something that you can just head on to the government websites and look up and find out more information there yourselves. But with quarantine, it's a big cost. It's around $2,800 or something like that for the 2 weeks you're in quarantine. So I guess that's why it's a little bit of a deterrent that probably people will be popping in different states flat out over the break with some of the restrictions in Melbourne. But it was really good to be able to, just really good timing to drop in with these other two blokes. And we've got 3 people in our setup at the moment in a 2-bedroom room, probably knocked off about $2,000 in the expenses for all of us, which is nice. But trying to get all of our jobs done and things like that and have little meetings, even running this podcast at the moment, had to tell all the other boys to just keep it down a little bit. So it's a little bit cramped, but we're finding a way to make it really enjoyable and get the best out of a bad situation, I guess. So
yeah, absolutely. And I see there was a little bit of a red wine spillage on the bed the other night with the coffee table.
Yeah, absolutely. We have had to call laundry a couple of times, but yeah, we're as I said, just making the best out of a pretty negative situation, mate. So
yeah, that's the way to do it. All right, I guess what we'll do, let's talk about, you've been in the fitness industry now for about 5 years, right?
Yeah, so I've been working at Zap Fitness here for 5 years, and prior to that, I ran my own social media agency supporting local small businesses, fitness studios, F45s, local sporting clubs, and that type of thing. So that's kind of where I branched out into finding that the marketing techniques that I was using and what I was really good at in the marketing space was really translatable to selling memberships, retaining members, and all those types of things. So it just became, I think it kind of comes off a little bit of your passion as well. You find that generally things that you're really good at marketing is something that you've got a baseline knowledge of and that you've got a passion for. So I think that I kind of all just really tied in well. I guess that's kind of been the kicking off of my career.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know many people who are too passionate about what they sell. You know, normally you get the people selling electricity who are backpackers. So it's nice to see that someone is passionate and has been able to sort of, you know, make a bit of a career out of it. So, I mean, when you say you've got a job out of it, you have more than just a job. Like you're one of the top dogs in terms of the marketing for Zap Fitness. Like you can flex on us a little bit.
Oh well, I mean, at Zap Fitness, we've got a really small, lean team, but we're really able to be agile within our team. So that's one of the biggest things that we like to highlight comparatively to the other brands. obviously there's large brands around Australia like Anytime Fitness, Good Life, Fitness First, and I mean they're some of their heads that are in their marketing teams, like Matt Fletcher from Fitness First and Helen Thompson from Good Life as well. Those guys are the real big dogs in the game, but it's really nice to be able to lean on them guys at times and be able to have a chat. And I mean, it's something that we're able to work pretty collaboratively within the fitness industry as well. A lot of people are really, really nice. And I mean, it's just that type of industry where you're almost like everyone is over the top nice and happy and really positive. And it's just a good place to be in terms of that type of stuff. So it is really good to be able to have chats with other people from other brands. And I guess if you're kind of walking around with that mindset that you are the big dog, it's probably game over, to be honest. Yeah. You really want to be learning constantly, and I'd much rather kind of be a small fish in a big pond rather than the other way around. So I like to think that that every day I'm kind of being able to learn from some of the people that are doing some big things in the industry at the moment. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we'll stay on the learning side of things. Obviously, there's sort of no beating around the bush. COVID and this pandemic has sort of, pretty much knocked the fitness industry, knocked it around pretty hard, especially in Victoria now. The gyms have been closed for a significant amount of time. Just touch on maybe a couple of things that Zap Fitness has done to help keep the motivation levels for the clients to keep working out. I mean, I'm not going to lie. I probably haven't done 3 home workouts since this whole, other than the bicep curl with the stubby. But it has to be, it has to be one of the most difficult things that you've probably come across in your time in the industry.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's difficult with all us not really being able to let our members into our clubs. It's kind of heartbreaking because we really get a lot out of obviously being able to see our members' faces every single day, being able to see them progress and move towards their fitness goals. So in a sense, that's really, really hard to take as a business, that being our core reason why we do what we do. So I think that besides that, you are able to kind of reflect on it and are able to see the positives from it. And that was being able to still try and facilitate and drive as much value as we can to allow our members to do the same thing, but just outside of our gym. So that's like, running our Facebook Live sessions, sending out regular content in regards to like nutrition or workouts that people can do at home using limited equipment, whether it's, a chair or a water bottle or, even a pillow to use as a medicine ball or something like that. So we really, really had to pivot and be agile in that moment to be able to go, all right, we're a little bit upset about that we can't deliver our normal product offering that we're so happy to be able to deliver every single day to these people. But we are able to deliver X, Y, and Z, and we're going to go and still have a crack at doing that. And I think that was something, again, which is really, really important that's happened because it's probably something that is always on the back burner, that we know that online and online fitness offering is something that was always boiling underneath the surface for a period of time. But it really took COVID for people to go, bang, it's not just a nice to have now, it's a need. We really need to have this. And now it's going to be something that's forever entwined in people's fitness offerings from this point onwards, because it's really been proven that that's something that even if it's, 15% of your membership base likes training online, it's 15% people that we can facilitate and help with their fitness journeys that we probably couldn't have before. So I think that's something that is just really built out and diversified our membership offerings. And it's probably something that you'll see over the next, 12 months where, brands are really implementing that online strategy as well as their in-club stuff when everything does go back to that new normal, I guess.
Yeah, that's really interesting you say that. So you think that there's a market there for, say, people who may not necessarily have the confidence or even the physical capabilities to get to the actual gym itself, that because of COVID, they've now got such a wider range of access to personal trainers and programs and stuff like that, and that'll be something that's beneficial moving forward for the business.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think a lot of those concepts were probably stuff that we knew was always there, but there wasn't anything. Well, we didn't know what type of demand there would have been to go, all right, this is worth us putting together the infrastructure to put these online platforms together to make it actually happen. But now, obviously, being forced to put those platforms together, now we've got them as infrastructure, and we also know that the demand is there. But I think in saying that, one of the most impressive things is what kind of makes people that are working within the fitness industry really, really happy is just the keenness of so many people to make sure that they do get back into the gym. And I mean, as you said, those online sessions and those sessions where you're doing them at home, you don't get that same vibe and excitement as you do when you are in a gym with other people. And, you know, you turn up to the gym, you've got your towel, you've got your bottle, and you're like, all right, this is game time. I'm ready to go. I'm ready to pump out a massive session. Where trying to replicate that in your own home is very, very difficult. You might have a nice screen set up with your laptop, and you've kind of got your yoga mat rolled out, ready to go. But that same kind of intensity and lifting heavier weights within the gym, you don't really get that same kind of intense feeling. And I think that's what our members have been screaming out over this break, especially, you know, up the east coast of Australia and down into Tasmania, where we're actually the biggest fitness brand. That's where our members have shown such excitement to get back into our club. So that's a really good point for us to be able to say, you know, yeah, this fitness offering is something that maybe we can do on top, but what we're doing, and then the cornerstone of our business with driving people into our clubs, is always going to be there, and the demand is never going to go away.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's one of those things where, you know, some people maybe, you know, necessarily work out, you know, 2-3 days a week, but when you physically take that away from them, they do truly appreciate and understand the need for it. So yeah, it is. It'll be interesting to see what things, you know, are going to look like, especially here in Victoria, because you know, especially sort of around the area where I live in Northgate, you know, you have 4 or 5 different gyms, all sort of in a close location, cafes. It's a very big it's a big part of the culture and the weekend sort of set up for a lot of people, which has been taken away. So it's it's good to see that, you know, people in other states are able to get back, but I think things are going to be tough for Victoria in a while. Sort of let's not sit on sort of the negative side of it. Do you see, outside of the, you know, what we sort of just touched on there with the, you know, people who might not necessarily have had access to things beforehand getting it, do you think there's been some positives to come out of this?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's kind of opened up fitness to a lot of people that potentially might not have, you know, bought into it, or, as you said before, like that they may have been just too intimidated to walk through that front door in the gym. It kind of was like a small little barrier, you know, that was broken down, that kind of allowed them to enter into starting a fitness journey that maybe they were a little bit too uncertain to start. Or, you know, it might be that mum that's just flat out all the time taking their kids to school, you know, doing everything as our mums did, taking us to every single sporting game around Australia. Like that single person just is time poor, where now it's just as easy as just flipping on, you know, a quick half an hour workout while their kid's sitting there on the couch, you know, eating lunch or something like that. It just made it so accessible for those people to be able to kickstart their journeys, as well as obviously COVID giving time poor people so much time has probably allowed them to come back to the core of what makes them happy. And I think that across like so many different things, you know, it's like that CEO that's finally being able to go home and work from home and spend time with their kids that's 5 years old, and that maybe they've missed every single birthday up until they're 5, and then they get to have their 5th birthday with that kid. You know, that's the golden stuff during this time that is just, that you're just not going to be able to take for granted at any other point. So I think that's one of the truly like amazing things about COVID, is that it's really brought everyone back to the core of what makes them happy. And hopefully people are going to be able to learn those lessons and go, all right, you know, maybe I'm not going to work 70 hours a week. Maybe I'm going to work, you know, 40 hours a week like a normal person, and make sure that I am able to go and see my kids' sporting games from now on, because I know that's what drives true happiness for me.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great point. You know, like a lot of people probably think, you know, like, oh, I haven't got, you know, I haven't got this, I haven't got that. But, you know, it's that family time, and that, well, you probably can't reach out and, you know, see a lot of friends and stuff right now, but it's that family time for so many people who were, you know, time poor and didn't have didn't have as much of it as possible. That's that are getting that. So it's really good to look at it from that point of view. And I think for myself personally, I've been trying to, and a big reason behind, you know, doing this and starting this is to sort of to get stories that are, or get people that are doing good things or have a good story to tell. You know, right now with the way the media is, it's so, there's a lot of dread, there's a lot of negativity, and I think it's good to focus on the positive things, because there is plenty to come out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much positivity. That's, as I said before, you know, even with the opportunity to come up to Brisbane and take on a new role and do something that's just outside of the square, you know, there's so many opportunity for people sitting at home right now that they could just go off and jump into something. You know, like a lot of people kind of get stuck in too much opportunity, where I think maybe this COVID break could really try and break down those barriers and really simplify things for a lot of people, and be able to understand, you know, that like the opportunities that they have are actually far beyond what they're actually taking at the moment. And there might be a bit of fear factor in there involved, but you know, we spoke about the interview that we ran with True Zero and Timmy O'Sullivan, who he's a business owner, and he just kind of just jumps out there and he's gone and just started this anti-hangover pear juice from Korea called Bay Juice. And he literally just jumped on a plane, went to Korea, saw the factory, brought it back home, created a brand with 20 grand. And then next minute he's across 900 stores in Dan Murphy's.
Yeah.
And I mean, obviously there's hard work that goes along with that, but you don't get to that point unless you back yourself. And you can kind of sit back and go, I don't have a lot of opportunity, or I don't have a lot going for me at the moment. But you really, really, you're only as good as the opportunities that you take, I guess.
Yeah, 100%. You can always find a reason. You can always find a reason not to do something. So yeah, I guess that's probably the perfect way to segue into the True Zero and the podcast that you started. Just give us a rundown for those who don't know. And, you know, we'll put all the Instagram handles and all the social media stuff on there, so we can get a few more people looking at it. So give us a rundown of how that started and what sort of people you're speaking to and what you're looking for with it.
Yeah, awesome. So I guess it's similar to what you're trying to put together here. Just something that is really, really, you know, try to be positive. We've got Cam Rayner, who is #1 draft pick, plays at the Brisbane Lions at the moment. He's on the show as well, so he delivers a lot of insight in regards to, you know, the general day life of an AFL player or someone within that elite environment. Where I'm very much so just your everyday punter that you know, wants to find out, you know, hey Cam, how does it feel to be walking out in front of 90,000? You know, how does that feel? And that's the type of storyline that I want to try and project throughout the episodes. And I think some of the insight that Cam's able to deliver is just incredible for someone, you know, that was 18 years old, coming into the AFL, having to move to a foreign city, you know, and then, you know, he didn't even play a game in the NEAFL at all. He went straight onto the big stage and then started playing AFL footy from there. So just that kind of baptism of fire as a young 18-year-old kid is just very interesting. A lot of the stories that he's able to portray from that point of view is really, really good, thought-provoking stuff and super motivational, super insightful. But bringing on these the other guests involved as well, they're really able to bounce off each other and kind of work in with each other's stories. So in the first one, we had London Topaz, who's a Melbourne dance artist. He's really, really starting to hit the big time. He just did a full Australian tour with Setmo, and he kind of spoke about the opportunities that he was being able to get over that period of time, and being able to tell stories like, you know, he was sitting in a room with Setmo and Safia, and just in this small little piano room, and he was kind of able to say that was just like an oh my god moment for him, and he kind of was able to talk through those emotions that he was feeling in those. In times like that, or when he's walked out on a stage for his first massive gig at Beyond the Valley. So they were just really big stories that that they were able to kind of bounce off to each other and relate. You know, Cam walking out in front of 90,000 against Richmond in the semi-final last year, you know, and then you know, London Topaz walking out on a massive stage with BTV as well. So that they're the type of kind of integrations between people's stories that we're really trying to get, and just delivering really, funny, insightful, motivational stories that kind of get people in a good space and make people happy, I guess, during this period of time.
Yeah, absolutely. That, you sort of touched on something there, which is something that I'm really, really trying to do. Everyone's going to have that different, oh my God moment in their life, whether that's, running out in front of 90,000 people, playing in front of 20,000 people, everyone's going to have a different one. And I think it is really cool to hear that from from someone, that I've never walked in their shoes, or I wouldn't even think of that particular moment. So you can sort of see it in people's eyes when they're so passionate about something, and how much it means to them when they, their eyes light up and they're like, yeah, like I was sitting in a room with these two guys, or
yeah,
I walked out on stage. I've often thought about I was never musically talented at all, but I've always thought about the moment that these guys walk out, or girls walk out onto a stage, and like that first like scream, and like there's however many people there, like that just must be like the most incredible, like almost like a kind of like a grand final kind of feeling, like coming out of the tunnel. It is really cool. And you've had, the three guests that you've had so far, they're, all completely different. So it has been a lot of different sort of insightful stories from different people. Where do you think you'll take it moving forward?
Yeah, I think again, just getting a really solid mix of different people, making it sure that, if you are an AFL footy fan and that's why you're listening just to hear Cam's voice and hear what Cam's stories in relation to those other people's stories are, you can really enjoy it. Or, if you're a massive gymnastics fan, you can jump on, and a diving fan, you can jump on and listen to, the Australian 10-meter diving board athlete, Laura Hingston. And then also, if you're into business stuff as well, you can listen to Timmy O'Sullivan talk about Bay Juice all day. I'm sure you'd be absolutely enthralled with that one. But I mean, just really, really giving a solid mix of what we're working towards as well. Like, just delivering that message across, multiple different people and multiple different mediums, I guess. But I mean, even what you were speaking about before with, coming out onto a stage and getting that feeling. And I think that, as you said, it doesn't have to be, that big thing for you. It might be, that you go up and do a presentation in front of 15 people and that's your big moment and that's your big yes moment. But I think that, there's also that negativity and understanding that those people don't just walk out there and they're just super, super confident, So that was one thing that that really, really was interesting about London Topaz, is that every single morning he actually spends like time mentally going through and priming his mind to be super positive, because as a person, he's actually really negative and harsh on himself. So he's walking into the studio every single morning. If he doesn't do that mental priming, and he's actually thinking, oh man, like what if I do this wrong, or what if I sit there for 4 hours and don't come up with a new concept? But in the morning, he likes to, get up an hour earlier, go for a 45-minute run, and during that run, he'll start to say things to himself, like, I'm a creative genius. I'm going to go into the studio today and I'm going to kill it. Like, and he starts really priming his mind to be positive. And that's something that Cam also spoke about as well, is that, in the same kind of interview where he was like, at the club, everyone speaks about it just being 70% mental and 30% physical. So you're doing that physical preparation and training and stuff, but there's that many, meetings with your forward coaches, meetings with competitor analysis and all that type of stuff. It's almost 50-50 split between the two, is that they come out in that game and they're just like, I'm so confident that I know exactly my role today and what I need to do. And the same thing that London Topaz does on stage is like, I know exactly every single drop in this whole set. I know exactly what the artists that sing vocals across the track, where they're going to be on stage, and I know exactly what's going on. So I think that that's one of the really important things, is that really making these people, normal, I guess, and that you're obviously really able to kind of get on social media and give someone a blast if, Eric Kipp would kick 1-5 on the weekend, like everyone's really happy to go and give Eric a blast on that. But in hindsight, he's just a normal person too. He's doing all the work, trying to have set shots every single week. It's that type of thing that people don't really understand, that these people are just really normal people and they have, confidence issues. They might be nervous and that type of thing. So I guess making sure that giving people a bit more insight into what athletes and the pressures that they feel and how they have to go about it, I guess.
Yeah, no, that's a really good topic. I think we're seeing a lot of it more, especially now with gambling. Obviously, with sport, we had no sport for 2-3 month period, and I mean, there's no denying that Australia has a real love for the punt, or love for gambling, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, what you are seeing is such a a guy loses a same game multi because, as you said, Eric Hipwood kicked 1-5, and they think it's okay to just send a tweet off saying X, Y, and Z, and it's just it is something that I think definitely needs to really be addressed, and I think we're definitely getting there. We saw Dylan Grimes cop to some pretty nasty stuff, and someone ended up getting arrested. So, I mean, the way I think about it is, you could be walking down, you could be in, say, somewhere in America walking with Cam, and those people would look at you both and go, just two normal blokes. Like, just because Cam's a footballer and well, you're a very established Northern Footy League footballer yourself, but there's
a bit of mayo, thank you.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with a bit of mayo. Yeah, no, but it is these guys are human, and I think it's really interesting. You talk about with London, how he has to train his mind to do that. Someone like him, obviously, where he's sort of going to go in the next few years, I think for him to get that mental side sort of not right, but sort of be in control of it, like that's a game changer for someone like him, because you think about like how much he could potentially maybe how much he could potentially not produce because he maybe has a negative thought when he wakes up. And yeah, it's a very interesting sort of thing to look at. That I think it's Laura, right, the diver?
Yeah, Laura Hingston.
Yeah, she touched on that she has a fear of heights.
Yeah, I know, it's incredible.
Like, and she's a diver. Like, that's
and she jumps off the 10-meter board. It's incredible. Like, but I think that's again where she just builds confidence from her skills. Is that she's actually terrified of jumping off it, but she's totally fine with diving off it because it's like this. It's more about the action, and she's thinking about the action rather than the consequences of what could happen. And I think that's when she just builds that confidence within herself about, I'm going to nail this dive, and I know exactly how to go about it throughout training. Where I think that same kind of level of fear that can be brought on by anything, it's just kind of like, if you're able to practice something over a period of time, being able to build some confidence, you don't have to jump off that 10-meter board the first time. You could, work your way up, I guess across any other industry or any other thing that you're trying to kind of conquer. But I guess looking at that limitation and looking at it as a whole and going, I can't jump off that 10-meter board, no way. But you could look at it like that and you're probably never going to achieve it. But if you're looking at kind of how you can break it down and make it more achievable and make it something that doesn't seem like it is as big as it is, and build that confidence over a period of time, it actually becomes something that is achievable. I guess that goes back to, that fear, and I guess people being more inclined to not really be up for the challenge at the moment. But there is so many opportunities out there at the moment for people to live the lifestyle that they want to live, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. I think especially right now, what you're seeing, and I mean, this is no knock on anyone who lives their life this way, but I guess there's a real sense of security around, being comfortable and sort of around what especially in such an uncertain time with what's going on right now. But you're right, there are so many opportunities, and, case in point with sort of with what we're both doing, if you don't sort of reach out to these people, a lot of people are, fairly open to talk about their story and talk about, whether that be their struggles or their successes. And I think a lot of people certainly don't know the story behind, they might see Cam, running out each week, seeing him play footy, but they listen to the podcast and they learn 15 new things about him, and that makes them go, oh shit, like, I have the same sort of thought process, or I was
Yeah.
in a similar situation. So I think especially with footballers in this country, obviously because everyone's so engrossed with it, it does sort of put them on a pedestal that's probably completely unfair. Players have to carry themselves a certain way, and as you touched on, at a young age, like I'm not sure what you were like when you were 18, but I can tell you what I was like, and mate,
Not as smart and as switched on as Cam, that's for sure.
oh boy, yeah. If I was an AFL footballer at 18, living in the social media world that we have today, I'd be in a bit of trouble. So
Yeah.
it is really interesting, and it's one thing I think I really do hope moving forward the AFL does sort of focus on, and really sort of clamp down on this social media sort of behavior, because it's not on. Someone like Eddie Betts, who's one of the greatest players,
Yeah, absolute champion. Yeah.
Arguably the greatest like small forward to ever play. The way he gets treated, the way Adam Goodes got treated, it's just it's unacceptable. And it is good to see. It is good to see people are challenging this now, and players are they're not afraid to share what's going on, to shed light on it, which I think is really important. But yeah, look,
even like the positivity stuff that you're seeing across like the NBA playoffs, you look in the back of their jerseys now, and it's saying equality and Black Lives Matter and all those types of things. I just feel like that sport is really standing up as a really positive message, and I think that that's something that we can try and take note of in Australia, and really drive home the same values across all of our sports.
Yeah, that's a great one. I'm not the world's biggest basketball fan, but I've heard the argument from some people, talking about how the NBA's protests and not playing, and they, some people are saying like, okay, how does this solve the issue? It's like, well, them not playing basketball isn't going to solve the issue, but it makes you stop. It makes so many people stop and go, maybe this issue is significant.
Yeah.
If like, probably maybe the most popular sporting league in the world to stop play for 2 days, maybe there is a problem. Maybe I'll educate myself. And so, it is kind of disheartening to hear people sort of say like, sort of just brush that off, because that's sort of how the problem stays. People who just go, 2 days of no basketball, I'll just, tune out, and that doesn't change anything for me. It should change things for you, because things over there right now, and obviously we can't sort of talk about what it's like or what, but you're definitely right. It is great to see the different messages, and I mean, as long as I've sort of grown up, like I never thought that you would see stuff like that, like equality on like the back of an NBA jersey. Like it kind of just didn't seem like that was something that happened. But it is really great to see, and I do hope that more sporting leagues are able to make a stance and make positive strides out of what's going on in America and around the world, with what with everything. So it is great to see, definitely.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right, mate. Thank you very much for coming on, Dylan. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Stay safe in quarantine, and keep the red wine off the coffee table.
Beautiful, mate. Thanks very much. Really actually enjoyed the Ansett hat, the whole episode.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely throwing it back. I love it.
Trying to get them on board as a sponsor. So they're yet to return any of my calls, but so if anyone from Ansett's listening to the episode, they can contact my PR staff, and we can set up a little arrangement.
Beautiful. Good luck with that, mate. All the best. See ya. Cheers.